It says it there, but it
There
doesn't
he
show
is.
it there.
Can we get
Oh,
that
and there he is.
TV on, the one that's supposed to show that we're on?
We see the sign, though, so
Yeah.
we should be.
I like to see what they're showing.
In
As long as
case
it's
they
not the
get,
back of my head, I'm good.
there you go. See, we never know what it looks like, so you got to wait for those opportunities.
Jimmy
All right.
texted me a picture of it.
Oh,
I'll share it with you.
that'll be,
It's frightening.
that's good for Facebook fodder.
Okay.
All right, very well. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If we could go ahead and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr.
This
Schofield,
is,
you have,
this is one of the parts of the meetings that I truly enjoy. We will have our Employee of the Month for April, and I'm betting nobody can figure out which employee it is back there. Stand up, Pierre. He's in a suit. He really cleans up nicely. So come on up here, Pierre. So I think Mr.
Whoever is
Estes
going to
is
introduce
going
us.
to introduce us, and Mr. Wagner is, I mean, if it were me, you know, I'd have dressed appropriately.
Hey, this is Pierre Raymond. He's been with us since August of 2000. He's a very hard worker, and he works on time every day. Pierre works hard opening and closing the park, cleans it extremely well. He also likes to work special events. In recent history, he recently found a package containing $1,000 and returned it to the rightful owner. Okay? We know that doesn't happen very often, and I'm very
it may never have happened before, actually.
Yeah, and as park staff and me being a supervisor, I was very proud of him. Pierre's dependable employee and represented the village of Wellington in light of what's expected. I think Pierre should be commended for his hard work and dedication over the years.
It should be. Pierre is really, truly amazing, and I've known him for years. He's one of the few employees that I've been told, if you do anything to him, you will regret it, and not by village employees either.
So he has support from the community and from his
Pierre is amazing.
supervisors.
He does.
Excellent. And I was just kidding when I said no one's ever done that. We do hear response from the public that our staff is very good about returning things, but that's an amazing thing to have on your resume. So we thank you for being our kind of employee.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say?
No, I'm good.
We don't talk much.
He looks good, he's got,
Well,
Thank you.
but you guys do talk in park, I want to say. You guys do talk because our residents have a lot of questions of you guys in the parks. So I know you're a good interface for us, so you wouldn't be here right now. So,
Is she anything okay? She in the park, I'm just okay. And ask my boss, but she got something, I tell my boss, okay, he tell me, okay, no, do that, this one, that.
Pierre is sort of at the other end of the communication spectrum from Matt. They balance each other out.
I got it down, just okay, my boss too, anything, okay, I got it, I'm just talking to him,
excellent. Well, thank
Thank
you
you
for
for what you
being a
do.
big
Appreciate
part
it.
Thank you, Pierre.
of
Thank
what's
you.
good about
Congratulations.
Wellington.
Thank
So,
you.
thanks.
Thank
And
you.
for dressing nice. We like that.
Thank you.
Show-
Your standard now.
You could show your bosses how to do that. Yes, or maybe your council members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to presentations and proclamations. And the first two items are legislative updates by Representative Wilhite and Senator Rader. It's good. And then we will move into
So have we gotten, we know that Representative Wilhite's available? Have we?
He asked to be on this
confirmed?
agenda,
Okay.
and then Senator Rader called a day or so ago and asked to be on the same one. Normally, I would have scheduled them separately, because, not that you all have ever asked a question of a legislature, but I like to give you as much time with them as you can get.
And it'll be Senator Rader personally?
That's what he says.
Okay, very well. All right.
Then we move into, the next item is a proclamation of the Village Council recognizing and congratulating Ms. Karen Epstein on receiving the Dwyer Award for Excellence in Career Education.
Are we not doing Frank Rodriguez? or-
Mr. Rodriguez may or may not
We
be
may need to
here.
push that back to a later meeting. We're waiting for confirmation on that.
Okay, so that's a question mark,
Yeah, that one is a question mark.
but Ms. Epstein will be here.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And then on the consent agenda, you have the minutes of the council meeting of April the 23rd.
If anyone has any revisions or corrections, they can get that to the clerk's office.
Then the next item is authorization to negotiate a contract to provide consulting services for the town center project. We put out an RFP for that, and and this is to go through and do the programming and come up and do the focus groups, user group interfaces, and then come back with some design plans. There will be no design that council doesn't see, and there will be but anyway, so we had 4 consultants who applied. All of them were all of them were interviewed because there were only 4. Urban Design Kilday ranked number 1, Chen Moore and REG tied for 2, and Roebling with 3. So at this time, we're asking for authorization to negotiate a contract with them.
Are the other, is the entire submittal here? Because I need to make sure that previously, even if they were not chosen as the first choice, and there was someone that I have a conflict with in one of the other firms, are all the firms in here, or only the one we're awarding?
The proposal is not attached, but I will get that,
Okay, I just want to make sure that
see who's on the team.
I don't have any work with,
Urban.
I haven't received any minis from Urban Design Kilday Studios, but I probably need to look at all the
Well-
subs just to make sure.
We'll go through the list and make sure we'll get
Okay.
that for you
Good.
tomorrow, because Monday other than the Memorial Day Parade, we're closed.
I'm out of town tomorrow, so.
Okay, I'll get it.
But make sure I get it
emailed to you.
before, as long as I get it by Tuesday morning, because as
Okay,
long as I have it before the meeting, I'm fine.
we will do
And
that.
Run it through my system. Okay, thank you.
The next item is resolution number 2019-28. It's the Village Court Townhomes replat. What this is there's currently a multifamily unit. It is on the west side of Greenview Shores at Wellington Trace. It's really right across the street from the McDonald's. It's an existing building, and what this is a plat to subdivide those into 4 units that will be individually owned, and all of the documents are here. It meets all of the requirements of our code for doing the for subdivision and platting. It includes setting up who's responsible for maintaining the parking lots and the drainage and those types of things. It's straightforward. Plat meets the requirements. We're recommending approval.
So it will be owned by 4 separate?
At some point, yes.
Right now, though, it's obviously owned by one person.
Single owner, yes.
Okay, so right now it's a single owner, it's rental, and,
Yes.
okay.
So it looks like if you look at the plat, which is included, they will have a common area, so,
Right, and that's dedicated to the HOA.
Yeah, they set up an HOA to handle all the common areas, the parking lot, which, is obviously crucial, any drainage, any common landscaping, et cetera. Just so you guys know, because I know somebody asked the question, I've met with them. The owner is an older gentleman. He wants to pass it on to his children, so that's why they're splitting it into 4 pieces, so each one has their own unit.
okay. But didn't have to be platted to be subdivided. didn't we pass that rule that you can do it another way? This is how they chose to do it.
Yeah, it's just as easy this way, and what the mayor is speaking about is a number of years ago, when we were looking to do conversions of rental unit to single-family ownership, our codes were written in a way that that really couldn't be done well. You'd have to do a condominium, and that's a very difficult process. So we amended the process so that you could, that there were alternative ways to do it.
If it's already in a subdivision, which this one is, so.
If it's existing buildings are easier to
Right.
do than they used to be.
Right.
But this is much clearer. You can see exactly what every unit has, and it dedicates the common right on the plat, so.
Yep. It's
Right, and
very
this'll take
clean.
away-
This way,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very clean this way.
And this will make it very simple for each of the kids. They'll know what they have. Okay.
Right. You can see the two end units get a little bit more yard than the two in the middle, obviously.
Favorite children? Sorry about that. Can't help myself. All right, very well. Any questions on this? No, we like this. We think, if they live there or if they're individually owned and occupied, we've seen what that does for neighborhoods, so.
Certainly.
We have fewer code enforcement problems in areas where the units are individually owned and occupied. All right, the next item is authorization to utilize an existing Public Works annual contract to replace and add culverts. There are 2 culvert replacements proposed. Both of them are on or into the C2 canal, and to give you an idea where the C2 canal is, it runs between Grand Prix Village and Palm Beach Point. The first one is at the C2 canal and Grand Prix Village. It is for $74,550. The second one connects the C24D canal into the C2 canal, both along the C2 to improve drainage in the area. It is for $61,560. The total amount of those is $136,100. These are in the Acme Repair and Replacement Program, and there are capital funds to do this.
And how did we select these 2?
They were-
Basically, staff with Public Works and Engineering went through the entire program that we already had scheduled for the Acme R&R projects and determined that these 2 need to be moved up in prioritization based on their location and the previous experience that Public Works staff has had as far as the actual issues related to the water management system.
We need
Not
to,
previously as far up as they were, but based on the last review of the projects, they were moved up.
and the one of them improves, the C24D canal, it improves some drainage in there, and this gives us, this one gives us better flow through the canal. So
One of them is creating an outfall?
no,
or
it's there, it's just
both?
replacing it. But we need, you'll see that the pipes are, in the one case, the 72-inch pipe is,
Both of them have outfall now, so, but this is improving the drainage. Okay. All right. Any questions on this one? This is a provider that's done good work for us.
Yes.
yes.
It's an annual contract previously approved.
Okay. Any other questions? Improving drainage in the south, that's a big issue, so.
Yes. The next item is one we struggled a little bit about whether to put that on the regular agenda or put it on consent, and in the end, I decided for consent. What it is resolution number 2019-23. This is something that's being recommended by the Education Committee. There's no, what they're proposing is changing their authorizing resolution to make it consistent with the resolutions that previous council adopted on meetings, and it just cleans up the language and tailors their mission a little bit. It doesn't provide any fewer, any less powers. But if you go through and look through it, the original Education Committee had 10 members. By ordinance, we've established it at 7. It does that. And it respecifies the quorum as 4 members. Instead of a special meeting being called by 5 members of the committee, it allows the chairman to do it, which is, again, consistent with the ordinance.
So there's not a resolution that controls all the committees? Each one has their own
There is a general resolution that establishes the meeting times and two-year terms.
Okay.
Each committee, most committees either have an ordinance or a resolution that provides for them specifically, and the Education Committee is just deciding to make they're asking to make their resolution consistent with what they actually do and what our controlling ordinance is.
Are these red line changes recommended by the committee itself?
Yes.
I mean, I read this last night. I mean, these make good sense to me. I mean, the things that were there obviously were appropriate when this was created 20 years ago, 19 years ago.
Yeah.
The changes seem more realistic and in line with what it can actually do.
Sure, and I think we should ask most of our committees to go through this exercise.
Well, this is the clean copy of the new one, right? And this is the markup?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, there's a
Yeah,
clean
sure,
copy.
the red line and the clean copy.
Okay.
And it was,
I
it's
think we
things
should
like.
do it based on if there's a change. And the thing that did change over the years, plus and minus, has been whether or not there was a grant. So, you know, they're administering that. They're keeping a look at that. So for a while there was, and then there wasn't. So,
And that's what they did in item number 8.4. It's instead of, school concurrencies is not something that they're can be involved with, so it's just changed to assist with educational grants as appropriate. I think
Correct,
the
just
com-
like 8.3, where originally we had a massive amount of portables. I mean, we had a whole
Right.
portable school.
Right.
That
Right.
is,
So the changes.
and we still do have portables, and it doesn't
but
seem
not
to
the
be
same,
a
not in the
concern.
same, right.
And they're concretables now, so generally, they're not really the
Correct.
same.
But what they're asking for makes sense, and they're good. And I probably wouldn't have picked up the difference between impact and effect, but it's appropriate where it is. I mean, I don't, and it's good, educators did that.
Very good. Well, anything we can do to boost morale, especially in that committee's done a great job, so I don't see any reason to.
Now, at this point, I'd like to add an item to the consent agenda. You have it in front of you. It's the proposed demolition of unsafe structures at 2538 Pine Acre Lane and 1211 Stratford Street. Normally, you don't see these. We do these at a staff level. All of the appropriate notices have been gone. We have been through every legal step we need to go through. What is different about these than in the past is one of these exceeds my ability to authorize the expenditure. It is $51,000. And as long as we were telling you about one, we figured we'd just tell you about both of them, because we'd have told you anyway. You'd have gotten it in a transmittal and in weeklies before it was done. But the notices have been given. All of the times have expired. These units are not occupied. Both of them are open to the elements, and Jack doesn't come, our building official doesn't come to the demolition decisions lightly, but I think we noticed these in January or February.
February.
These are single family.
These are single
Have you ever
family.
done single family demolition before?
Yes, we have. We did one inside of Palm Beach Polo.
I remember that one.
A couple of years ago. Was it the
Polo,
fire
I think, was last
one?
year,
Was
and
it-
then
was it-
Folkestone Yarmouth was 2 years before.
Was it the
But
fire?
Folkestone was multifamily one.
Right.
Was it based on a fire, the one in Palm Beach Polo?
No, the one in
Or
Palm
no?
Beach Polo was where the owner had gone in and gutted the
Oh,
interior
okay.
and then chipped away half the block wall. So that structure was, it was a matter of time before it fell down on itself.
Okay. The owners of these properties are banks? Is that what we're dealing with here? Because they both look like they could be repaired if someone had an interest in doing it properly. But I guess Yasik is suggesting they can't be repaired.
Well, the owners have been given the opportunity to repair them and have chosen not to respond. The notifications have been done. I believe that they are both in banks' hands. I did not read that far into it.
Well, one of them's Deutsche Bank, and we've done a demolition on a unit that they held, so they know we're serious. I mean,
Deutsche Bank, yeah, they know we'll do it.
Why is there such disparity in the price between these two properties? One's 51, the other one's
One
14.
of them is much larger than the other.
Yeah, one appears to be much larger.
So what does it look like when we're done? Is the driveway still going to be there?
When it's done,
Generally, if we use the same concept we did, which we would at Folkestone Yarmouth, it's basically completely demoed. Basically everything is taken off-site, structure, driveway, pool, everything, and you'll have basically rough graded upon completion, and it'll be seeded.
A vacant
Yeah.
lot.
and then we will file, and then we'll file a lien. We've
We've recovered the previous demolition
We recover the
costs.
costs for doing this.
That was
and-
my question, if we've ever gotten our
Right.
costs back.
Yes, we do recover the costs for doing these.
Is this the one that has a basement?
I'm not sure. I do not know that.
Which one?
The one on?
The larger one.
The Tudor.
The $51,000 one.
We
Well.
would know that, right?
Part of that cost is we've got the pool to deal with,
Right.
because we won't leave the pool, when the house is down, we won't leave the pool.
No, we have to, yeah, it's already secured. I guess, did the bank do that, or did we do that?
I don't know, that kind of looks like something that we do, but I can't tell you that absolutely.
Was this the black pool? Does anyone know? Have they been on site?
Building has, but I have not been on site.
Well, we've notified the owners. I don't know, any input here from legal?
On these,
We've notified the owners. We gave them 90 days, and actually, the legal department followed up with the attorneys who represented the banks in both of the foreclosures as a follow-up to say, we're going to move forward with this if you don't respond. We've posted, we haven't heard from you, and we haven't received a response. In an abundance of caution, we've recommended that we publish in the Palm Beach Post a notice, as we have done in the past. That's not a legal requirement. We've already complied with what we are required to do, but since we've posted in the past, our recommendation is that we do that again here before we actually proceed with the demolition. But as Mr. Schofield said, we need your approval because of in terms of the costs.
Yes, this is one of those types of things where I come to you in lockstep with our attorney, because demolitions are not something that we're prepared to go south on us, so.
have we called these law firms? I mean, they both seem to.
They didn't respond.
I haven't personally spoken to them, and I would have to ask Ms. Cohen and Maria if they've personally spoken to them, but I've seen emails that were sent to them, and there was no response.
Do we send like certified letters to their firms and stuff?
Yes, we sent, if you look in the
All
packet.
those
this-
notices
The
have been
Robertson
done.
All these
Anschutz
notices-
one went to, that's care of Deutsche Bank, to their office in Boca.
Yes, and the Bank of America letter.
The other one went to Ward Damon.
Yes, that's correct. And we've also contacted both law firms by email.
I don't know, it seems quite drastic, but if they're unsafe to the community, that's what our building inspections have.
That's correct. And then the intent of the
Brought
timing of this
forward.
is we'd like to address these units before hurricane season really gets underway, or at least as close to it as possible.
Because if they're not secured
Right.
properly, it could be a danger to those around them. All right,
And are these items noticed as being on this agenda? Advertised as part of this
Actually,
agenda?
These are not on
They're
the
not
agenda, they
noticed
were
for the
walked on
agenda.
today.
These on today.
It's not, that's not the notice. The reason they're on the agenda isn't because we need to notice them or not. It's because the expenditure exceeds
I
$25,000.
understand that. My point is,
I'll certainly call the law firms and tell them that they're on the agenda.
I think we should do that. I mean, I don't know that there's a huge difference between having it on this agenda or the next meeting. So my point is, I think we should call the law firms and,
Be happy to do that.
What
The next
steps,
meeting, the next meeting's end of June, though, so we're another month out.
Right.
There's no
right, which
first meeting
moves
in
us
June.
far and further into hurricane
Hurricane
season
season,
and that
right,
kind of,
so
I mean,
it's-
I understand.
right. But neither, well, I mean, we can't tell by looking at it. I'm not qualified to say that it's not. It's obvious that the roof is in disrepair.
In these cases, the
It
roofs,
seems unusual that the kind of investment that these banks
The units
have.
are open. In some cases, usually when banks aren't responding, the cost to repair them, the cost to go in and completely restore those is generally, it's going to be at least, cost to replace it can oftentimes be cheaper. By the time they go in and pull the roofs off and bring them down, go in and take all the drywall out and deal with the mold problems that exist once they've been open to the elements for as long as these have. So it's possible they could be restored. Anything can be.
But they haven't made an action towards that, and that's what we're moving on.
They have not, and I will personally call both law firms tomorrow.
That's all we can do.
Well, and it's a holiday weekend, so I'm not sure that, I don't think we should delay this until it's published. Unless you can tell me otherwise, that I don't want someone coming back and saying we weren't properly noticed, the email was not delivered, or...
We're comfortable that the notice that we've provided is sufficient. As I mentioned, we've recommended that we go ahead and publish it in the newspaper, just in an abundance of caution, since we have not received a response.
So you're talking about after this, after the council meeting Tuesday, we're going to publish it in the newspaper before we take any action? Is that what you're saying?
We're
Right,
not,
we would-
we're working on getting that
Published next
right
week as
away.
well.
Yes.
And then basically publishing it for a duration, publish it once and put in there that within 2 weeks, we're going to take action if we didn't hear anything.
And the date of the demo is...
Well, we don't have a date yet since, one, we had to make sure council was going to approve the contract, and two, of the one demolition for Pine Acre. And secondly, we would also wait to publish it in the paper, which we're hoping to do by Tuesday or Wednesday.
I think I would just feel more comfortable if this is on a regular agenda, but I don't know. My concern is the size of this one residence and the fact that if it's not been, I don't want it to be a danger to anyone around it, but it seems to me that this market, that someone would buy this and at least do...
I don't know that they will or not. I know that we have met every legal requirement for advertising. We've gone above it, and we will go above it again with the publication in the Post. It's whatever you want to do. If I want to pull it, we can either put it on this one or the next meeting we have after Tuesday is the end of June.
I don't see a need to pull it. I mean, we've given them notice. This is talking about notice it for the meeting that we're going to vote on it. We've already given them notice, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and they haven't responded. We'll give the lawyers one last chance to respond. But to keep these, structures up during hurricane season seems like a bad idea for their neighbors.
Agreed.
I agree with that, too. I mean, if it's dangerous where a wall could fall on somebody or something tragic could happen, we would be kicking ourselves for not taking
For
action.
people, too, that can come in there and get injured on the property
Well,
because it's vacant.
and certainly the one up here, I mean, I understand. I think if we're going to take the extra step where the manager's going to call, we're going to take this action Tuesday to approve the contract, we're going to advertise again, I think at that point we've...
And we've been successful in the past with just retrieving the demolition also. So just seems that one home seems very unusual for this circumstance especially.
Right, because I don't think they're not in the same, one seems very different than the other. The 14,000 versus the 50,000, obviously the size of the home, the pool, all of that makes it. But if we've called, I mean, we've
We've reached out to them and we've sent them notices by certified mail. I'm happy to call them as well. And we will publish as soon as we can get the publication into the Post. Because of the holiday weekend, it might take us until Wednesday. But even that publication, we would give an additional 2 weeks.
right, okay, and I think that
And
that-
then they would have a chance to respond still
Yes.
and say, no, we're going to secure this. We're going to make sure that it's not a risk to anyone around it.
And that's the part that makes me
Okay.
feel more comfortable. If we're gonna call, we're gonna publish again, we notify by email of the publication. I mean, I think at that point,
Okay.
Okay, that will take us to, there are no public hearing items. It takes us to the regular agenda. The first item on the regular agenda is resolution number 2019-30, the solid waste collection and recycling assessment. We are proposing no change to that from this year. The actual contract, there is a provision in the contract that allows for a rate increase, and Waste Management is asking for $152,000 in rate increase. That is well within they're contractually able to do that. We're going to cover that cost out of the solid waste reserve. That reserve has way more than enough money to do this. So
That's calculated to cover that.
yes. So we're recommending setting the solid waste rate at exactly what it was last year.
And this is for waste collection, curbside, and containerized.
That's Yes.
correct.
Does this doesn't cover our commercial dumpsters, does it? It does?
Yes.
Okay, so that price has not gone up either. Okay.
so this is residential, commercial, everything.
Yes,
Stay
yeah.
the same.
All right.
And then we get to the final item, which is approval of the interlocal agreement between the Village of Wellington and the School Board of Palm Beach County for the funding, planning, design, and construction and maintenance of the sports complex at Wellington Community High School. We have more pictures.
In case you don't know where the high school is.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's basic agreement between both staffs on this. The legal departments have looked at it. We're here asking you to move forward, and there is only one place in this agreement that I have an issue, and that is on page 115 of 121, and it is the term. And the term is at, if we do a pool, it's at 30 years. If we don't do a pool, it's at 20 years. And if the school district wants to cancel at the end of 20 years, I mean, that is certainly something we should talk with them about. But there's a significant utility to those fields left after 20 years. And if they want to cancel, I believe we need a provision that says that the unamortized part of that, there is value to that, and that value is that if they're going to cancel, that they need to make the village whole on that cancellation.
Could we not get them to 30 on the whole thing? And maybe a time limit on the pool situation? I don't understand why they're interested in giving us 30 if they get something else along the way.
Right, I think their interest is that generally the value added for them, even though I believe the entire item is a value add for both parties, is that the value added option for them is to have certainly the aquatics facility located at the school as well. And so that's what they were trying to...
So that's an incentive for us.
Right, they want to try and incentivize it so that the aquatic
Get an
facility...
additional $4 million facility built on their
absolutely.
property for their use. Okay.
Well, and we would use it as well, and
Right.
and then we would have the first priority of use on the aquatics facility. But they definitely see that as a plus. It certainly allows for not only the benefit to the local swim teams from the high school, both Palm Beach Central and Wellington, but also the opportunity to explore, educational programming that may involve the aquatics facility, which they were very interested in. So.
And this looks like they're giving us until July of 2022 to build that pool. That seems really
25.
ambitious.
I think 25.
Oh, 25, there you go. Okay,
Decide by
25.
22, build by 25, I think is the date that we've...
Okay, go back to that. Well, I thought we had 10 years to pull that trigger. No. How many years do we have to pull the trigger?
6,
6 years.
2025,
115, section, paragraph 28.
28.
That's all right, let it go.
Pulling it up.
The other issue I have is,
That's a poorly worded paragraph, 28. There's issues with.
Yeah, what we've got is basically a lot of poorly worded paragraphs
I'm gonna
because we've gone
correct
back and forth.
I'll correct that language because it
Mark
says
that over.
however twice.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
I mean, it also sounds to me like our village manager isn't in agreement that this is a contract that this council should consider in final form. It sounds like you're still negotiating a material term.
I'm good with, the way the contract is written, I'm good with the use terms and all of those things. The only place that I have a problem with is, and I don't even have a problem in concept with them canceling at the end of 20 years. I just think that if they do that, we don't have a facility that is as young as, Village Park is 25 years old. The newest facility on Village Park is about 15 years old. And we will maintain those facilities in generally like new condition during their entire life. So if we get to the end of the period and it doesn't work out, then there is value for that, and we need to be able to recover that value. That is really the only issue I have in this contract, and I
Well, yeah,
believe
but
that's
sure, by
resolved
saying
in
that,
term.
you're going to off the, this will off the agreement,
Yeah.
well, and I
right?
have
You know that.
I have a concern about the parking for the tennis center.
But we believe, we do believe it's resolvable.
I don't understand how.
No, I don't think they're going to have a problem with either extending the term or they know as well as I do that capital investment isn't something that we'll do without a provision to go through its useful life or recover.
Well, until that gets corrected, I'm not comfortable voting to approve this unless that stuff's
Agreed.
written. I
Right.
mean, I think we all agree on that.
And-
All right, then I can, today, I'll just move it to the next available agenda.
Well, and work on the agreement, yeah.
Ideally, I'd like to vote on this once staff is certain that they've brought to us what they believe to be the best contract possible.
Okay.
Well, hold on a second. Isn't the timeline of this, though, that the plan was that we were going to vote on this and this was going to go to the school board on June 19th?
That was the originally contemplated timeline, was
Which
that-
would be fine if we had a first meeting in June, that would work, right? So we could do whatever for the next 2+ weeks or more, then come back to us at the beginning of June, and then still go to them at the end of June.
19th, right. Their scheduled board meeting is on June 19th.
Well, I don't, at this moment, I don't think that they have to postpone their June 19th meeting. They can do that, they'll either have the language in it or they won't, and then we'll be back here.
So they're going to vote.
Doesn't matter
so
who signs it first.
So they'll vote ahead of us?
Yes. I don't think that, I don't think
Is that going to
should
be a problem for them?
They've indicated in the past that generally they would like to be the second vote on there. We can certainly try and look at it, doing it in counterparts. I'm not sure what.
Well, why did we cancel the early June meeting?
I thought we canceled the second meeting in June, not the first.
First meeting in June, that was.
Okay, so we
have-
originally, okay, went back and forth, but we're doing the second meeting in June, not the first
Doing
meeting
a
in
second
June.
meeting in June, not the first, and it is a second meeting in July that we do not do. That one's your,
The one that's
to the extent
standard.
that we schedule time for you all with school-age
So
children.
there'll
to
be,
take
so
vacations.
there'll be meetings back to back at the end of June and the beginning of July?
Yes.
But I just understood Mr. Barnes to say that they want to sign second, which means we
Right.
need to sign first.
Well, they prefer to sign second. Doesn't
Right.
mean they have to sign second.
Right, there's no requirement that they do that, but that was their preference, and we were trying to accommodate that preference.
And I'm still
Go
not
ahead.
clear on where the parking is for the tennis courts either, so.
The parking for all the athletic facilities that we're proposing would be using the existing student parking lot that is located east of the football stadium.
Okay, so that gate will remain open, so you can drive into, like here?
To the left, right?
You'd pull in where basically you can either come in through the main entrance and go left when you
Okay.
get to the
So, all right, so that.
auditorium
that
facility.
Parking lot will remain, when our park hours are, it'll remain open.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so that access is, and there'll be signage that says Wellington Community Park.
Right, that would be all part of the
Part of this
design.
agreement?
Well, there would be all the designs that would come back to council also for review and approval, would go to the school
In a
district for
similar
review
way
and
that there are
approval.
signs and everything at Olympia Park.
Correct, correct. And there'd probably be more even signage here, only because it's a larger site, larger facility with more facilities to go to. And the same way we have signs at Village Park, even though it's all our facility, you still need some wayfinding within the facility itself. And that would be all part of the detailed design.
Back where this shows the 3 basketball courts, there's currently parking there now. Is that parking getting recapped?
Actually, there's no parking there. The parking, if you look at the aerial, it's
It's off to the side.
east of that proposed canopy.
So it's still
That
there.
area is
Okay.
basically a concrete deck
Okay.
that would be removed, and that's also partially a grass area existing. Those are the existing unlighted practice fields that the school utilizes for the sports and band activities.
And the school's not bearing any of the cost of maintenance on any of this. We're bearing the entire cost of maintenance,
That's correct.
and for
They are
20
continuing to maintain the maintenance on the stadium. We would just be absorbing the maintenance on the stadium field itself.
the new turf field.
Right.
Right, which requires, do we have the numbers on how much that costs per year?
We don't have the
Is it based
detailed
on
numbers.
use?
I'm sorry?
Is it based on use?
No, it's not really based on use. I mean, ultimately, everything's based on use, but the reality is that the day-to-day maintenance is really, once you use it, you don't have the replacement issue that you have for, that you do with traditional,
Grass.
regular turf grass. But what you do have is you have additional water costs, probably less than what you have with turf grass, because of cooling. Depending on the time of day and everything, it still has to get watered because you've got to cool the synthetic surface and that type of thing. So, the maintenance is different. You're not going to be cutting grass, but you're going to be cleaning and picking up trash.
But
You're
they
going to
also
be
have to add
vacuuming.
fibers and do.
Yeah, but
kind of-
that's, the use on that is generally,
Doesn't matter?
It's going to be generally based on just the length of time that it's in use. Not that if you have 6 games on it versus 8 games or anything like that.
Well, that's my concern, because it seems to me that the school district should see a value in us taking this on and maintaining it and giving us a 30-year agreement.
Well, if I understand 28 correctly, 28, paragraph 28 on page 121 simply says that the board would then have the option to terminate or renegotiate the agreement.
Right.
So I think there's probably some room there on
I'm sorry, what
removing
page did you say it was on?
This is on 121, this is the same paragraph, 28 on the term.
115.
Or excuse me, 115 of 121, sorry.
Okay.
It would seem to me that we may be able to take out the termination language and leave in some kind of renegotiation language there, which would solve the whole thing.
And the reason that I don't think that this is that this is even remotely unresolvable is there is a level of maintenance that we do on our facilities that the school district just doesn't do on theirs. And if they were to take those facilities over, they wouldn't put the same level of care into them that we do. Those turf fields would become problematic afterwards. I'm not worried about it.
Sure,
per
and that's
se.
why I'm saying that paragraph could be easily reworded to some language along the lines of, shall have the option to renegotiate, and then, if renegotiation was unsuccessful within some, 12 months or 18 months or something, then they could have some other additional option to terminate. That would be further down the line.
Okay.
I think that's easily solved, I think.
Has risk management looked at this for playing on tennis courts that are right outside the baseball stadium?
Our risk has
Is that a
looked at it,
concern?
and the school district risk has looked at it as well. And I think generally what you'd have there, as soon as you put other activities, including the track area that we're putting in between the 2 baseball stadiums, is that you'd have additional sports field netting that would be required to go up the way you do driving ranges and everything else. So you do
Netting,
sports field,
okay.
right, sports field netting that would go up there to prevent the errant home run or foul ball to,
Some
clock
big
somebody in the
left-handed
noggin.
hitter is going to poke one into the tennis courts and become a legend. So let's do it.
Well, I just wouldn't want to be on the tennis court if that happened, that's all. Okay, but we've looked at that, and it can be,
So are we taking this off the agenda because it's not ready to vote on yet, or is it going to be ready to vote on by Tuesday?
I wouldn't pull this until we see if we can fix these things over the next couple of days.
All right, so we'll bring it back to you at your next meeting. I believe this is fairly easily resolvable.
What I'm saying is, you don't think we can make these minor changes by Tuesday
Tuesday.
and still and leave this on?
I think that given where you, with your language, we could probably do that.
Why don't we try?
Why don't
But we should
leave it
try.
on?
Why don't
let's
leave
give
it
that,
on.
let's give that a try.
And then I'll pull it if I have to on
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay. I just.
Okay?
That makes much more sense.
Assuming this gets approved by the end of June, when do we look at starting construction? What was the plan for starting the groundbreaking and moving forward?
At that point, we would go to design.
Yeah, I think at this point, unless the school is able to really do too much modification with their spring schedule, what we would look at is late spring, early summer, starting construction on the initial phase, which would be the stadium field, and the associated improvements in that vicinity, which would include the track equipment, the field equipment area, as well as the tennis area. And then once that's completed, they would be able to utilize that area, and we would be able to section off the construction limits for basketball courts.
Realistically, you're looking at construction occurring over next summer and the following summer. You're looking at construction in 20 and 21, completion end of summer 21.
So these fields, these 4 new fields wouldn't be ready for public use until fall of '21?
Yeah. Some of them, but not all of them.
But the turf field will have use, I'm sorry, the stadium field, we'd have use of also.
We'd have use of that all
Once
of the,
that was done.
Yes.
And that's the first thing.
2020.
And that's,
Well,
Yeah.
here's the deal. Once that stadium field is built, basically the school would put every activity they have on that field in order to allow us
Other
to
ones, right.
build the other area.
so we won't have use of it
So I
until
would,
the
I would
others are
suspect
in
that
place.
at best, we might get one, and one field doesn't help us, I'll be, quite
Right.
frankly. One field doesn't do a whole lot for us unless it's a particular special event or a one-off game. So
Right,
I,
and that might be there for that reason,
Right.
sure.
and when, during that time, when we would get the stadium field is weekends and school holidays.
Does this term of the contract run from when we sign it or run from when we're done construction? Because we're going to lose 2 years on the contract if we haven't, it should run from when construction's complete, not from the time we sign it.
Paragraph 27 says, "This agreement shall become effective when signed by both of the parties and filed with the clerk of court in for Palm Beach County." So I think it's upon signing.
And if we had
So
30 years
we-
on this one,
Probably ought
we
to
wouldn't
change
be
that
as
to be-
worried
By the
about,
time we finish
Upon
construction.
completion.
Yes.
Well, and that, again, would extends it out and makes it a little,
Okay. But we'll.
I want to look back at the estimates and have that be part of this discussion for Tuesday so that we know.
Somebody's
what we're
paying very
spending.
close attention to that request.
And our thought was that once this was approved, we would bring back to you the contracts for the design and for the construction manager at risk. And we were thinking of doing that the next meeting, the second meeting, or the only meeting in June. So once we get approval, we can put those contracts before you to get those firms moving.
right, it seems to me that if Mr. Barnes and Ms. Bosch could get these details ironed out by Tuesday, we could still vote on this Tuesday, they could vote on the 19th, we could go forward with that at our second meeting in June, and this process gets going, since it's already going to be
Correct.
some time to reach the end.
Okay.
Before you, I've got the two subs for Urban Design Kill Day.
Okay.
They have two subs that they're using, Leo Daily and Stantec, and that's it.
Okay, I have to run the numbers on Stantec.
What's that?
Hey, I've been here for I have no comment. Anyway, that's where we're at, the
All right.
mailing that. I have nothing else for you, so some of you I will see Monday morning.
Yes, and I apologize, I didn't have that many opportunities to get away, and I have a chance, so I hate to miss Memorial Day, but I know you guys will cover it well, so
I talked to Mr. Gerwick. He needs a
he does need a vacation. He needs a vacation. All right. Thanks. Thank you. This
Now-
meeting is adjourned.
When we go off the air and we're off.